You know you make me wanna shout. Come on, hand down, have my hand down. Come on now. Oh, 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 shout now. Come on and shout now. Come on and shout, 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 shout. You know you make me feel alright. That is to YouTube, and not necessarily the people who watch me, because there's so few, but to all those others. 15 million subscribers for people who just swear and do stupid stuff. I mean, that is what is popular on YouTube. That is what millions of people are watching. You know, it's the way it's meant to be. And no one agrees with me. And I'm actually finding that quite reassuring. And amazing. And it's cool that I can't just tell somebody the answer. It won't hit them because they're not ready for it. And in a sense, what I'm finding now is, what's the next question that I have to ask? What is... And that's it, because suddenly a question pops into your head. And when you're connected to God, as soon as you've got the question, the answer is right there. You might not like the answer and have an unpleasant feeling to it. Well, the truth is beautiful. So, I don't know, I'm this close to giving up bothering making YouTube videos, but as I don't put a massive amount of effort into editing or planning, apart from thinking about it, I'm not that fussed, and it can be a nice little video diary for me or for people of the future. Anyway, some people are watching my videos. I guess a lot of people just watch a few seconds if I've shared it on Facebook, but there are a few who are watching all my videos, and they might not be understanding it. It might just be background music for them. Like I told my son yesterday, I saved the world. And I can see now no one's going to blow my trumpet for me. I've got to blow it myself. But you know, I do feel like I've got a tune to blow. Because things are getting better. And it wasn't a sudden thing. It's been a gradual thing. And okay, my last videos was saying, you know, something was going to happen on the 21st of December. And like I'd already felt, you know, there hasn't been like a massive explosion, asteroid, earthquake that's killed millions of people, but everything's happening gradually. And if you look in Revelations, I feel we're at the point where they shall rejoice in heaven, but, you know, woe to those on earth. I don't think it says woe to those on earth, but it indicates that there's some stuff that's still going to happen on earth. But basically the battle is won. And, you know, obviously by God's design, God planned for me to be the Christ in these times, and I've done my job. I've done what I was meant to do so far. And that was, you know, all stuff on the soul level. I've spoke to Lucifer, and Lucifer's turned to God. That's why people in power have lost their power. They're not able to, you know, still manage their influence on the people so much because their spirit helpers are no longer on that side. They are now with God. Or they're decided they're gonna turn to God and live that way instead of fighting God, which is what a lot of them have been doing. And Lucifer was the main one in that. Now, I knew Lucifer when I was Enoch. We were like best friends, and but we kind of parted ways in the sense that we didn't believe in the same things, and Lucifer was very much into the war and, you know, the fighting, the battling, that sort of, you know, honours, if you like, whereas I wasn't. And he did something unpleasant to me. You know, we were like best friends growing up as kids, and I had a favourite horse, and he took that horse into battle and fucked it up, basically. And I probably thought too much of my horse, in a sense, you know, and that might have been a trigger then which got me more into thinking about God. But anyway, when I felt Lucifer about 6 months ago, may have been a bit more, suddenly there was the familiarity, and this familiar feeling which brought me back to my life when I was Enoch, basically. Anyway, so that was a big thing. But there have been other darker spirits too, which I've been able to have some influence over. And the basic thing which, like, I understood that God isn't going to make this plan eliminate any of his children, her children. It's just not going to happen. You know, God's children all are going to be saved. Like the flock of sheep, you've got 100 sheep, 99 are in the pen and one's missing. You're going to go out looking for that one sheep, and God's not going to leave any behind. So I understood that, and I realised that those who had chosen the dark side, if you like, or to be evil, to be against God, to challenge God, and they've probably suffered having made that choice. What I understood about the last being first and the first to be last is that people who have been evil have gone so low. When they turn and they decide to go with God, they're going to accelerate, they're going to progress really fast. And I kind of just put this to the darker spirits, you know, that actually, and also that there was a requirement for some people to choose to do wrong, obviously because it's God's plan, and that's, you know, everything that has happened is meant to be. So, you know, so their retribution might not be as bad as they perhaps thought. Anyway, it's done, and the spirit world is now all good, shall we say. So like I said to my son, I've saved the world. Obviously, it wouldn't have been able to do anything without God, obviously. But as God's Christ, and that, you know, that's why we needed a Messiah. The Messiah's work was on the soul level, and it wasn't a necessity to be famous or well known. Like, we don't know the things Saint Francis achieved because there's nothing about him you know, necessarily. There are things about him, and you know, there's the Franciscans all follow him, and you know, so obviously there are things. But like Yeshua in his life, like the Queen mentioned in her Queen's speech, he was maligned by others. You know, no one apart from maybe his disciples, and even they probably had their doubts. No one really thought that much of him at the time. But boy, he did change the world. And I just want to go over again and this, the word Jesus. If you read Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, towards the end when they go into Jerusalem, Yeshua is saying to them what they should do. And they should go to towns and they should knock on a house and they should say, "Peace be on this house." And then they should go around the town healing. And Yeshua is basically saying, do what I've taught you. Now, the name Jesus was never mentioned before the New Testament. And we know the man was called Yeshua, which means God saves. We know that. So the Bible has been changed. And they didn't have to change much. They just had to make sure, alright, every time this word appears, put this in instead. So now in the New Testament, the name Yeshua is not in there at all. So every time the name Yeshua is in there, they've put in Jesus instead. Now I think there's been some confusion. Now, there's a lot of confusion. Let's face it. Now, Yeshua's disciples, he said to them, "I speak to you plainly, but I speak to the others in parables." Now, pretty much everything Jesus' words that he says in the Bible, most of it is parables. Okay, there's the stuff, love your neighbour and stuff like that, that's not parable, that's just straight, okay? But he's told them other things that haven't been included in the Bible. And is it John 17:11? And Jesus says, thanking God for the power of his name. So he's talking to God, the power of your name that you gave me. This is the name Jesus. Jah wasn't in the Hebrew language. So this was new. This was something he taught his disciples. Go and heal with the power of that name. He discovered the name of God, the true name of God, not Jehovah, not Yahweh, not any names that man had made up. Yeshua was the Christ in that time, and he discovered the name of God. And it's the name of Mother and Father God. Because they are one, as we will be with our soulmate. We will be one consciousness. So, yeah, that's what Yeshua discovered. I mean, amongst other things, obviously the power of love, loving your enemies. That's all good too. But the Bible has been changed and adapted. You see, the word Jesus Christ is a fallacy. Jesus Christ is not one person, as I've said before. Jesus is Christ. It's Christ on earth, his vessel, God's way of doing things on earth. Because God doesn't God likes to keep everything, true to the universe. The universe has laws. So God isn't going to levitate a mountain and move it from here to there, because things will remain true within the universe. Now within that, what God has power over in his teaching, he's teaching us, his children, and her children, so ziz. And that's through our souls, that's through our eternal soul, that's what we are. Nobody thinks that in their day-to-day life. You know, we wake up in this body and we move around, so it's no wonder that we don't constantly wake up in the morning and think, you know, I'm an eternal soul, I'm going to live for 100 billion years. But no one else there, no one else can kind of, you know, either let go of... See, people feel like they have to put their trust in something. It's much easier to put your trust in a 2,000-year-old book. Because you can think, wow, there's millions of other people who believe this, so that's some sort of security. Well, I'm not the only one. And it's written down. You know, I mean, people should understand it isn't true, because, you know, in the Christian church in this country, they've had to agree on these 39 articles to basically put down the arguments, to stop discussing, because things don't make sense. So the way I see the Bible, it's got all these bits in it where they've changed the name. And then, you know, a big bulk of the New Testament is the letters of Paul. It's not God's word, is it? He was a Jewish Roman. And but what there are within the Bible, there are bits that don't add up. Like in Revelations, when it says God and His Christ. And when Jesus, Yeshua, says to him, I think it's in Matthew, who do you say I am, to Peter? And he says, well, you are God's Christ. You know, that, well, okay, so that doesn't add up. You can't, and then everyone says, you know, well, the people who really get religious and look into it and try and cover up all these bits that don't add up, kind of base their whole thing on saying the Word was with God, and then the Word became flesh, and they see that as proof that God became Jesus, God became a man and walked on the earth, and they won't hear anything about God being male and female. So basically they're just pinning all their trust and belief in the words in the book. So they're not going to get any further than someone did in the 12th century, are they? In fact, they're going to be further away, because someone in the 12th century would probably have known Latin and Greek and would have been able to be a bit more in contact with the original writings. But the Bible's there, you know. I'm not saying disclude the Bible. I'm just saying use your brain. Things that don't add up, something must be wrong. So I guess other people would say, well, they just wrote the wrong thing there. But I see those as little bits where they didn't manage to cover it up fully. They allowed some bits in which were true. Look, God, who made the universe and everything, or is the universe and made us and everything else, isn't going to come down as one of us and then be able to be killed. So, you know, fucking use some logic for once. And look, the 30 or so people who might pop over to my channel and have enough spare time to sit down and watch or listen to this, you know, you're doing quite well compared to the majority. But I don't mind, like I say, you know, the fact that nobody agrees with me, everybody is kind of against me. You know, I'll go commenting on this person's channel or this person's video, and you know, most of the time I get jumped on, but I'm sorry, I win nearly every argument. And when I don't, I apologise and I say I'm wrong. Most of the time I'm the one finishing it off. And I'm not nasty, I'm nice. Because I have been a bit bullyish at times in my comments. But I've noticed that it doesn't help. There's no winning in a sense. I'm not just trying to win it, but I'm basically showing that my arguments are better than any other. Now, I've gone to understand the universe and everything on a much deeper level. I pondered about the possibility of God having a mother and father, and God has shown me that yes, God is a person who 15 billion years ago or so was in the same position as us, right at the beginning of a 100 billion year existence. And then once I pondered that if God had a mother and father, and then obviously God has brothers and sisters just like we do. But then it took a good few months before the question in my mind came up, well, does that mean we got cousins? If God's got brothers and sisters, God's brothers and sisters will now have 25 billion children each. And putting that together with this universe is God, and each of us, when we were created, a little universe was created within God's universe. So God's brothers and sisters have all got a universe similar to this one, and all their children have got universes within universes. And what about God's grandfather? It's big. Very big. Too big for the brain almost, really. But not quite too big. You can picture that. And you see, the thing is with me is I think of this and I actually then feel the results of it. And when I felt that about all the cousins, that did scare the shit out of me, I'll admit. But I sat with it. I stayed in there. So, all is good. Like, the heavens are rejoicing. That's where 3/4 of the humans are. Only about 1/4 of us on the planet at this moment, which is more people there's ever been on the planet ever. And I'd say now, a lot of the babies coming in now, if not all, have already been here, are reincarnated. I suppose I really want someone to agree with me, but and some people do agree with me on some levels, and they find it hard to disagree with me unless they're like scriptural, and then they just quote a piece of scripture, ignoring my scripture, and they'll stick with that. And, I haven't come across many atheists lately. Interesting. And old Donald Trump, he's a godsend. So I think what I said about the 21st of December, May and end calendar reset, yeah, I think so. I mean, I saw Trump come out with a tweet. I don't think it was the 21st, it was either 22nd or the 23rd. But who knows when he thought of it or decided to do it. He's taken on the UN. I mean, that's big. He's saying they're a bunch of useless craps, basically. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. We do have to wait and see, because so many times when we get a new president, everybody's hopeful. I felt the same when Obama got into office, but then Obama did nothing in his first 4 years. And his complaint was, well, Congress was Republican, we couldn't get anything through. Well, more and more I think he is Osama bin Laden. And he took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. The doors. The blue bus is calling us. 7-7. No, something else. Oh yeah. Do not forsake him. Strike the mistress and cure his heart. It's quite hard to sing something else while got music playing. A bit of Portishead. I haven't listened to Portishead for ages. It's a nice thing to have on the background, though. You can chat away. Healing, miracles, right? Why aren't I doing miracles? Why aren't I healing people? There's one simple answer for that. That's the people heal themselves. What did Yeshua say to each person as he healed them? He says, your faith healed you. And that is the way it still is. People have a lot less faith now. There's nobody who's come to me and said, oh my God, I believe you are the Christ. I believe in you. No one has gone that leap and had that belief and took that leap of faith. Because these days, you know, in those days, Yeshua walking around, things were more mysterious. You know, they believed the Messiah was coming for a start. So, you know, that helps. I mean, most people these days don't believe we need a Messiah. Think we're all God and don't need God even. That's what people think. We are mini gods, but we're so babies in our life that we really don't have much of a clue at all. And we don't realise how much we need our mother and father. And even though they're there with you every second of your day and night and continuously, you'll realise that when you first feel him or her. The familiarity. But anyway, back to healing. So a person could be healed if they had the faith, and that's why people haven't been healed so far, is because of their faith. The people I've come into contact with, they would still think more about medicine and doctors, you know, and that, you know, you can't force it out of them. It is the way it is, you know, and I can try and explain things to them, but, you know, they have to want to understand, they have to want to go deep, they have to accept that some things may be wrong, and the people I've come into contact with so far haven't quite done that. The closest I would say would be my son, but he's only 10, so I mean, he hasn't really got that mode of thinking yet, you know. I've suggested to him that he could meditate with me or try and meditate at some point. Yeah, he doesn't want to. He's like, you know, when you're young, like, life is just a blur. You just want to get older and, you know, grow some pubic hair or something. And, you know, you're just kind of in a whirlwind, really, when you're that young. You don't really stop and reflect too much. But he does a little bit. He does a little bit. Yeah. And as to healing myself, well, yes, I've had an issue with my teeth for quite a while. In a sense that I think it was last year I noticed that a tooth back here, there's a little gap between the gum and the tooth, and I wasn't sure if that was related to my thing that I had. And that too, you know, so in a sense my mind hasn't been so much concentrated on myself, but in the last month or so I have kind of wanted God to heal me a bit. And I've obviously used it when I feel a cold coming or I feel a flu coming. And it's an interesting bit in the Bible, sorry I can't remember the verse or whatever. But basically it's a mistake not to ask God to help. And someone in the Bible learnt this lesson, maybe one of the kings or one of the judges or something. And so it's basically saying, well, you know, I mean, God's saying, well, you didn't come to me for help, you know, that was your mistake, because you should have relied on me. So I heard that and I thought, yeah, I should do that too, you know, God would want me to. So I did that the other day. I felt this flu coming on, and you know, when you get to that point where you think, oh, I'm not going to be good for the next few days, or, you know, and you might go for a pill, or you might try and drink some water with garlic in, or, you know, something. But I thought, no, you know, just rely on God, ask God to help. And yeah, it was like, did that, felt this much better. Half an hour later, did it again, felt that much better. A bit later on, still felt a twinge of it, did it again. Gone. Healed. By God. And the teeth thing is interesting. So quite often when I was meditating, although I wasn't conscious of it, I usually got a relaxed mouth and my teeth would probably be about this far apart. That's the normal relaxed, you know, lips together, teeth not necessarily touching but very close apart. And then sometimes I'd feel my jaw closing and I'd just feel like I was about to sort of not grit my teeth but clench them on one side or something. And I would always stop myself from doing that. And what with all me saying, you know, you get an itch, allow the itch, allow everything, and then it suddenly occurred to me, you know, as I was asking, perhaps, you know, I could heal my teeth, because I've got an issue down here as well. I don't know if my teeth are moving and it's affecting my gums. They've got a sort of, because of the wisdom teeth coming in. But anyway, so then I suddenly thought, right, my teeth have come together without me, it was just something, so just allow it, right? And then the first time thinking, because it seems to be getting harder and harder, although you relax yourself, you let it happen, it feels like you're clenching. My face wouldn't be screwed up like that, but my jaw muscles are obviously in action. Just allowing it, and then sort of you get a little fear like, God, my teeth are going to break each other or something. But just kept going, and because I've got the feeling with God here, this is quite close, so it's all sort of like, you know, and I don't know if it's fixed everything yet, but it's made me feel better about it. And you know that's the key, feeling better about it. But an illness that comes on suddenly can be cured suddenly. An illness that's taken a long time to come on, is slow and gradual, it's also going to go gradual. And that's a bit like the problems with the world as well. I still say the turning point was Brexit. And, you know, we've had bombings and earthquakes and that before Brexit, and we've had them after Brexit. But if you think that they took a long time and got worse and worse and worse and worse, till around time of Brexit, and so forth, they're going to remain a bit, but they're going to get better and better and better. And that's God's plan. God is graceful. And I didn't really realise, I never thought about God's grace so much before, but I see in God's gracefulness, graceful is gradual, isn't it? Someone's walking gracefully is sort of like, you know, you don't really see any jerky movements. It all appears to be doing that. And like a flower opening, this is how it's happening. And it's happening through individuals. We are the ones making the change. And no one's going to be able to turn it back. Thankfully. And everyone's going to be great. I'll tell you the other thing about progressing, right? Say, we don't have to have levels, but just use it for argument. So say you go from level 1 to level 2. Say you're twice as happy as you were before. It soon becomes normal. So, you know, you're not elated like every single day. I'm on level 2. You want to go on level 3, don't you? So, you don't like get to level 2, you know, finally I'm here now, yeah, I'm just like bubbly and happy for the rest of my life. You always want that progression. So, you know, because part of what's so fantastic about this is when you move up. And it's like, that's like within a realisation, boom, I've moved up. So that is the good times. And you can go down. And we've been going down most of our life. We know that very well. Going down, we know. Every single human being has experienced going down. From day one in the womb, you're experiencing going down. Apart from a few who have, you know, I think a lot of people after middle age, you know, after they're 40, start to accept, yeah, death is coming, that's absolutely sure, my hair's falling out and everything, and I'm definitely going to die one day. Well, I've got to deal with that mentally. I've got to be able to sleep at night knowing I'm going to die one day. So I think like you see people who've been grouchy gits all their life, and then suddenly they become really happy and they're pleasant to everyone. I mean, that happens, you know, and it happens earlier in life too. When people are bad, when they're bad, they're not bad that long, because they soon feel the wrong of it. The people who stay bad the longest are the ones who don't admit it to themselves or anyone else. Keep it shoved out the way. Well, that's kind of okay, because then they're not acting on their bad feelings. But it's a struggle for them, and it become a harder and harder struggle.
Now that we've chosen to take all we can, the shade of autumn will stay a bitter end.
By the way, it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year. Every single person in the world is going to meet me eventually. And I'm going to meet them. And you're going to meet every single one of your kin. So those few of you who are still watching, and you're going to find out one day that was Jesus is Christ. Jesus being the name of God. And you're going to say, I watched his videos. I was one of the few people on earth who had a chance to listen to him. And I didn't listen to him. I thought he was full of shit. I just thought he was making it up. I just thought he was mad. I just thought he was stoned. A lot of people are scared of having a smoke because they did once in their life and they went a bit mental and they don't want to go there again. And they went a bit mental because they didn't have the truth at their base. So, infinity. Life is eternal. Will go on forever. And it has been going on forever. Oh, that's so weird. Oh, that is the weirdest. And I guess that's why you've got ever in front of you and you've got ever behind you. That is why you have to live in the now. You can't constantly be thinking that this has been going on forever. That's freaky, isn't it? It's comprehensible, but it's not pleasant. You don't want to look behind like that. You don't really want to look in front. We've been here before. We know now. Now is the time. The present. The gift. The existence. But you as a unique soul, or me as a unique soul, half soul, we're not going to continue as this particular unique soul forever. We had a beginning. That beginning wasn't very long ago. I imagine it's quite possible that all our souls were made millions of years ago. Perhaps even 4 billion years ago. Perhaps God didn't make the earth until all these souls had been made. But we weren't aware yet. We were incarnate. We hadn't been carnated yet. Sorry. Anyway. We hadn't become aware yet of our existence. We were sitting there, being created, and then God, well, you know, start making that. He didn't want to do it wrong, did he? Would you? I mean, when we get to that stage, would we want to do it wrong? We've got 25 billion souls on our conscience. We've got to get these 25 billion souls from not even having been aware of anything to become aware and to realise that love is the answer. And not just tell them love is the answer, so love. But got to know from experience that love is the answer. So he wouldn't want to do it wrong, so made the earth and everything planned, and just get some dinosaurs for some reason. Because without dinosaurs we wouldn't have oil. And I imagine it was meant to happen, right? I mean, changed the world, made us be able to circumnavigate the earth, all of us, you know, in planes and stuff. So everything that has been was obviously for a reason. And there was just to us to eventually understand the reason, because, you know, learning is fun and eventually we might have to do this. So anyway, we've got this, we've got this 6,000 year plan to make all of us together understand, so we can go to level 2 of our existence, a loving existence, a good existence, without the pain of realizing the result of not loving. And then in 15 or 30 billion years we'll be like God is now, and God has a mother and father, and they have a mother and father. And I think there's about 7 levels, because when I was meditating on this couple of weeks ago, whenever it was like 19th of December, and I was feeling it, that my eternal soul's got this universe within God's universe, and that God has a universe within God's mother's and father's universe, and I could feel it, and suddenly I almost doubted God had a had a hand on things. You know, this is the first time God's done this sort of thing, and God's suddenly thinking, shit, you know, is it going to be alright? The doubt, me doubting that God might doubt, sort of thing. Anyway, so I suddenly felt like I might need the help of God's mother and father and their mother and father, and I kind of suddenly felt like it was all pressing on me, and I think it was about 7 levels, and then just seemed to hit this sort of triangle of light, of love, and that was like source. And the source felt alright, I felt like I was like stuck to it, almost like that. So if each generation is 15 to 30 billion years, in about 7 of those, so let's just say 100 billion years, even number. In 100 billion years, our unique soul will almost just go into this source, and that will trigger the creation of another 25 billion unique souls, and it will carry on. But for me, 100 billion years is alright. Because right now, right in the very beginning, you know, within a few thousand years of becoming aware, any human, and me too, but I had a gap, within that time of becoming aware, I know that in the next 1,000 years I'm going to learn so much that it's going to change my viewpoint of this whole sort of living forever and forever it's existed. Plus, when you're feeling your soul, because obviously at the moment I'm thinking in my head and I'm moving my arms and everything, but when I've like sat here for 15 minutes and I'm just feeling my soul, nothing like that comes into it. The soul is like so down with infinity. It's just like, yeah, the now, I'm feeling, you know. I'm feeling this is good. And feeling is good, feeling's great. You've got to let go of everything to feel. Remind yourself, you're not this physical thing. You're going to die. This thing is going to die. It's a temporary thing. Now if you listen to that, and if you really listened to that and thought about it, and if you don't find that mind-blowing, then I don't know what. The heart is stronger. Your heart is awesome. So yeah, 100 billion years, cool. And I have thought that, say our souls were created 4 billion years ago, that's quite a long time. What if, before 4 billion years, there were still hundreds of billions, or I don't know how many galaxies there are, still lots of galaxies in the universe. And let's say if 25 billion of those galaxies suddenly developed a black hole. And who says a black hole is big? I bet, well, when I've been imagining, since I've been saying a black hole at the centre of the galaxy, I've imagined quite a big hole at the centre of the galaxy. But why would it be? Why, a black hole wouldn't take up any space at all, would it? Tiny. You wouldn't even see it. And through some balance, like the planets orbit the sun, the stars around it won't necessarily get sucked into it. So what about if that's how it is physically, that we are, each one of us is a black hole out there in the universe somewhere, or your complete soul, you and your soulmate. That is what your physical manifestation is. And if you went into that black hole, that would be your universe. And this universe, God's, our mother and father's universe, Jesus' universe, is a black hole in her mother and father's universe. Eh? Look, I can't help it if the things I say make sense. But I do feel good that, you know, I don't have to tell anyone the answer, because as soon as someone starts to feel the truth, they're going to come to the same conclusions as me. Eventually. The music stopped and I haven't finished. So, what should we have? Oh, why not the Doors? Let's try that. I hate iPads. Half the time I'm clicking the wrong thing. Don't you find that? You just waste so much time clicking the wrong bloody thing. Doors. Search. Full album. That'll do. It's not very long though. It's in the foreign language. Come on, internet. I'll probably sit down, there'll be an advert. Oh. Sounds good. It's not really loud enough, is it? You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures there. Chased our pleasures there. Right, I know none of you believe me, because if you believed me, if you really thought I was the Messiah, God's Christ, you'd have gone back to my first ever video and you'd have listened to every single video, everything I said, And if I said something that didn't make sense, you try and mould it to make it work. So I know none of you believe. Sometimes I don't believe. Sometimes I just think, I'm wrong, aren't I? But I haven't left it yet. Things are still making sense to me. I'm like Sherlock Holmes, right? I don't just believe what's probable. I like to eliminate every possibility. You know, what I just said about our 100 billion year lifespan, it's quite similar to you know, people's beliefs who believe in reincarnation. Just they think they reincarnate every physical life and keep going that way. But the truth is, you reincarnate as a completely different person. So in a sense, the substance that made our souls in the first place, well, everything is made of love. Love is everything. The only real substance is love. So that love that was the making of our soul originally, our core of our soul, had existed forever. So at one point we were these 100 billion year old souls who so vast and big with love and so loving. And then at some point become so loving that we just go into source and we become sort of whatever. And then there are these sparks and these new souls who know nothing. They don't know anything, but they're unique. And how I love the fact that I exist. That I'm this unique thing and I exist. And it's amazing to exist, and it's so amazing that it's here, because logically there shouldn't be anything, but there is. And then you start, you know, have you ever had that thought, like you think you're the only one who exists and everyone else is here for your own thing? You know, when you get to that point, if you're on your own and you get to that point, you know, that there's a real yearn to go and see somebody, anybody, a brother and sister, right? A brother or sister. And when you're with somebody else and you feel that person, you know they're a complete different person. It's true. I had thought something the other last night about starting to recognise feelings that you have. I had a good example. Apart from the one where different, you know, imagine someone comes into the room, sits down in the chair there, and there's a certain feeling with them, and then change it for somebody else that you know well, and start to feel the difference in that feeling. What was it? Oh shit, I forgot. Come up later. So I've had so many things on my mind lately that I kind of want to get across, and I want to get off my chest and out there. And it's just hard to know when to start and how to remember everything, like about Obama being Osama bin Laden. I think I touched on that, but then I went off on some tangent about something else, and I didn't really come back to it, did I? That's it, because I walked on down the hall, took a face from the ancient gallery, and he walked on down the hall. It's in a Doors song. And that guy, Jim Morrison, he used to like make shit up. He would have made it up in practice. He's a little bit prophetic. I mean, he's fucking high on drugs. As I suppose many of you think of me. But the truth is, if you smoke weed a few days in a row, you know, you're not really getting that much affected by it anymore. It's when you stop and you've had a break, and then when you have one, it kind of puts you in a more loving condition, and in a more loving condition you have the ability to heal your soul of things you've been suppressing, things you haven't wanted to face. And your mind does it so quickly, so quick. If you haven't had a joint and feel, you're not going to know about it. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. I've never heard this song before, it's a bit shit. I'm going to turn it down. We're all in this together, people. It's all good. But, you know, some people may have to die, I don't know. So I get to this point. It's probably been, what, hour and a half? Hour and 2 minutes. Yeah, I haven't fixed my eyesight. But I don't feel there's anything wrong with my eyesight. I mean, when I drive in the dark, I put my glasses on. But I can't read small things far away. I got a thing where you look at a window frame and the upper things are blurred and the horizontal things that are fine. It's the vertical which is blurred. But you see, that's what I think. I think this is the way God made me, right? I mean, it might be a result of watching TV when I was young. Probably. Might have been. Straining my eyes. Sometimes I can see really clearly. It's a bit weird. Probably in good light, actually. That's probably what it is. But anyway, I haven't healed them. I haven't grown the hair back on my head. That is not to say that I won't live for 1,000 years still. I might. It's the world which is aging me. It's the chemicals I can't help but breathe in and come in my food. You know, you can only... I could probably not eat. But you know, you eat, don't you? And you know, the first moment I thought, when I embraced me being Christ, what coming into my head was Timothy 3, and I looked at it, and it basically said, you've got to be perfect. But I understand to be perfect would be to do nothing earthly at all. Even talking, using my mouth, on some level is a sin. It's like not recognizing the much more superior part of my soul. So probably all the videos I make and all the talking I do is a sin. But I do believe in the sometimes a smaller sin can prevent a greater sin. I believe in that. And so you take a risk. You think, right, this may or may not come out good. And it's a little sin, so it's going to hurt me a bit. But I'm going to do it, just in case it helps. So, that's how I see sin, basically. And I don't see sin as all the same. Obviously, if I went out and murdered someone, that's going to be a worse sin. I don't believe in this, you're either going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven. You know, not everyone gets their karma straight away, but I bet they get it pretty soon. And they might get it in their dreams. I'm just saying the same shit all over again. Comment. I like a conversation. You know, don't expect that you'll be able to, you know, change my mind or anything. Or, you know, if you got doubts, come on, bring it out. I think God has made it on purpose that I would be undiscovered. I think, to be honest, let's say a year ago, let's say it came out and everyone started believing I was the Christ. How many attempts on my life would there be? How much, you know, shit would I get? Would I have been able to do any meditating? I don't think so. So I think that's done on purpose, and I don't know if that's going to remain the case, and I don't mind whatever. So I suppose, since I sort of felt that I was the Christ, there was a period of time where I was kind of this expectation of the possibility of, you know, paparazzi at my front door and, you know, anything like that. You know, it hasn't materialised whatsoever. You know, my YouTube is stagnant decline, kind of, and that's okay. Fine. And maybe everything I've been doing on my soul is what's been needed, but no, I do believe that God has wanted me to do some videos, and even possibly this one fits into his plan, because once something is done, it was meant to be. And I'm determined. This is going to be a long video. Feature length. Why not? And if I sit here silent, so be it. Well, AJ hasn't come out with anything lately. I just checked their website. They haven't updated the website or the blog since late October. I don't think there's much going on the forum. So, what's going on? Why haven't the videos come out yet? Why am I so fascinated by this? I still see AJ Miller as a major importance. I still don't know whether if he hadn't come out with them truths, whether I would have ever in my life hit the nail on the head. As I don't think so. I think it was absolutely part of God's plan. And the way AJ puts it, wasn't really. He says we just wanted to do it out of love, but I don't think they could do much on their own without the rest of their kin progressing too. I think, you know, they would have had to wait. And it draws again attention to this thing where it seems that while you're on earth you've got some sort of power over those in the spirit world that in the spirit world they haven't got. I think there is something about that. So, you know, perhaps what they were able to do, even in their high loving state, was too limiting, and that created a yearn for them to return to the earth. And so therefore would be the case with every single spirit that gets to that level. And so that would, you know, that would again support the thesis that all the children being born now have lived before, have got to that high stage and are now coming back onto earth. And I do feel that all the children now are going to be having a much happier existence than children born 30 years ago. And theirs was better than children born 60 years ago. Although I think the children born 30 years ago, I think we've all had to kind of face this amazing time in history where I suppose it's got so weird. Like in the olden days, you know, you were connected to nature. You rode a horse, and you know, and there was no TV or anything. So the only thing you knew was out there, you know, with your own eyes. You know, they've had books for a long time, and reading, obviously, that's then using your imagination anyway. So I think we've had to kind of, I think this has been like a crunch time, a big crunch time. and it's good. I've saved the world. That's what I told my son. He laughed. What? But I was able to, because when I started feeling God, I did then start to attract spirits. And I felt them, and it'd be like coming towards my forehead. And it felt nice, and quite often got the impression or the feeling, you know, like they were saying, I'm God coming to you, or I'm your God. You know, so it's quite nice, inviting, warm, you know. And then, because I had felt God, I was then, well, hang on a minute. God didn't come like that before. God came like directly from above, and I think this was also before I felt Mother God coming from beneath. And so they're basically trying to trick me, and that's when I first started to get, and I can't remember how that, I think it just suddenly happened, you know, I got this feeling in my temples, like, you know, quite strong. And that stopped the feelings that coming into my forehead, almost sort of entering, like, it felt like they could come at least to here, and kind of, because I've had many spirits, but these big ones wouldn't necessarily come into it. But I've met many spirits who, like, want to be with me, and if I try and feel them, they're like try and go down here or here and try not to go out of me. And I've been saying constantly to go with God, and then I would, you know, and by being loving and stuff, and you know, saying, well, you know, it's my will that you go with God. So you're, by remaining here, you're breaking my free will. But also, you know, wow, wouldn't it be better for you to go with your mother and father? And like, and I could feel if they went that way, or if they went that way. And look, I'm not lying, all right? This and I haven't been creating it myself. It's just things which have happened. And when I get the feeling here of God, I can, if I want to sort of be a bit more sure that it is God, as times I have, I can kind of concentrate on it a bit more, sort of ask God to let me feel your presence more strongly. And I feel it now. And we're in God, and you know, I've had so many times, so I know, okay? And intricate little things, feelings in here do not just happen. No one else has ever said to me, oh yeah, I feel that thing in my temples too. No one's ever said that. I've never heard anyone say that. And I think they would, because I think most people listen to me and they think they're probably concerned, you know, they're worried about me because I think I'm Christ. And like, I went and saw a mate the other day and just went, you know, do you still think you're Jesus? And I said, well, no, I've never used that word, you know, but yeah, I still think I'm Christ. But, you know, so it's the misunderstanding of words, a misunderstanding of what it is, you know, and yeah, it's a journey anyway. It's a journey, and we're all on a journey, and like I said, I don't actually have to tell anyone anything. So, but I suppose I get frustrated when I think, you know, there's 15 million subscribers to like KSI or Jacksepticeye. So PewDiePie has 50 million subscribers. You know, and I get a bit frustrated because I think, well, you know, if these guys were preaching the truth, if these are, how powerful that could be. They could be telling 15 million people that God is our mother and father and loves us all and is always loving, and you know, we're half an eternal soul, and we've all got a soulmate out there who's going to be our eternal companion, 100 billion years, and what that could do. But they don't. They play games and lark about and have a laugh with their mates, and that's obviously what people want to see. They want to turn on a video and see someone having a crack with their mates, especially all the young. It's mainly the young people who watch it. But they're the future, you know. They are the future. I mean, I know I'm going to live for 1,000 years, but anyway, I suppose at some point my hair will grow back. I don't know when. I hope this Doors album has got the song I want. And I hope you can actually hear me talking. I mean, I can't complain that I don't get that many views, but I'm going to say I probably wouldn't watch me, but no, I think I would. I mean, I watch a few, you know, I tell you, a lot of people have stopped. A lot of people are stopping YouTube. People who just talk. And you see a lot of people struggling as well, like struggling to come up with new stuff. Because people who like to make, if you wanted to be a successful YouTuber, you've almost needed to make regular videos, you know, every week or every day. And it's hard to keep coming up with interesting stuff unless all you do is lark about. If you talk, you know, about serious stuff, it's you know, it's very difficult to keep coming out with new stuff. At least you just report the news. I mean, you got the two preachers, and they like to use scripture and factual evidence, and which is great. But the thing is, they quote mostly the same scripture over and over again, and just showing us pictures of new floods. And they've got very successful because their videos are very well done and they look nice, and it's, you know, it's nice to listen to. It's quite good. I like, you know, not bad. But, you know, they're pretty much saying the same thing every week, and where are they going to go next? So they'll probably eventually give up. And you got Jacob Israel. Again, I like him. It's good. But he'll kind of be too open-minded about anything. And, you know, he'll fall for the flat earth, he'll fall for the Mandela effect, you know, and, you know, just, it's kind of like, well, you know, you just go for everything. I don't want to be too critical of him. He's pretty good, actually. Out of a lot of them, I rate him. You got John St. Julian, who I have got some issues with. But on the whole, he is giving out the right message. So all these three I just mentioned, I do feel at the core of it, they're progressing and they're giving out the right message, and that's good. But they all have weak spots, and with John St. Julian, it's him trying to convince himself that he's done the right thing by going over to Africa and getting this compound and looking after other people's kids. And he wants to be a father, and he wants to be their father. Now, that's his flaw. Because it's correct to recognise that the baby is the coolest condition of any of us, and we all go downhill after that. So for him to want to be a father is like saying, okay, well, I've fucked up my life, I want to, you know, perhaps help you, but tell you what I know, even though I fucked up my life. And that didn't come out quite right. Our God is our mother and father. None of us are equipped to be a mother and father. And if you don't know the truth, you can't teach anyone else. But many teachers do, right? So people are teaching people the wrong thing. That's kind of what I'm saying. You know, the thing I think, you know, so if John hasn't really understood that children are in a higher state than the rest of us, what's he doing? And if he wasn't a white man, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing. When you go to Africa as a white man, there's such a prejudice over there that you are automatically seen as better than everyone, by most people. So there is that environment. You go to Africa as a white man, you become like the white god, the white king. And he feeds off that. And he also feeds off those children. Now, if you wanted just to feed them, fine. Go to Africa and create a food bank. And if parents really do neglect their children and don't want them, which I believe is the case with some of the children he's got. I'm not sure it's the case with all of them. Now, it might not be John who's forced them away from the parents, it might be another third party. Or you come to a place that's in such a dire state that people don't have jobs and there's no money there, so they can't look after their children. Wouldn't it be better to try and sort things out so that they were able to look after their children? And I just think, really, a white man going to Africa, after what white men have done to Africa, we should have left them, and they'd be better off if we had left them. Obviously, not invaded them and colonised the whole continent. That was not the right thing to do. That was not a loving thing to do at all. So by continuing to meddle, I see an issue with that. And what I see John finding out gradually is that he is in a trap. And it's a trap of his own making. And he's not going to be able to leave with his conscience intact until he realises perhaps that it was an error in the first place. So now he's sort of realising the limitations of what he can do. And he wants to do more, as like I said, when you get to level 2, you want to go to level 3. And so he's trying to sort of convince people in a sense that they should do what he's done. And all he ever really tells us about what guided him was, you know, seeing the numbers 1111. You know, a leap of faith. It's good. And I could quite possibly agree that it was God who intended him to do that. But through all his meditation, if the only communication he's got with God is to see numbers, then I think there's something wrong with his fundamentals, beliefs, as he sits to meditate. Because with my fundamental beliefs as I sit to meditate, I can feel God. Maybe, you know, I should say in front of you that if I'm wrong, God should hurt me on the shoulder right now. I don't want to say drop me down dead, because if I was wrong, I don't really want to drop down dead. And I could be open-minded and think maybe I am wrong. But I don't believe I am. So, I don't know. And you shouldn't tempt God, so I shouldn't ask for a sign. But I would say to you, you can feel if I am or not. You can feel the truth. Don't judge me by my looks. I could shave my beard off and I'd look 20 years younger. And I could do other things, but I want to keep my beard and hair because I think it's helping me spiritually with my connection and energetically and heat insulation. I don't need a scarf with my beard. So, brothers and sisters, you're all going to meet me. We're all going to meet everyone. Don't just scoff and bypass. Be open-minded. I am Jesus is Christ. I'm just thinking, oh, should I call the video I am Jesus is Christ? Yeah, well, it might get picked up in the searches. Should I then share it to my Facebook channel, where people who know me already think I'm bonkers anyway? But would that just be the nail when my perhaps Francis' mum sees it and phones the police? He says he's Jesus Christ! There's an apostrophe there. Jesus is Christ. You don't write another S, you just stick an apostrophe in. I'll get copyright things on this now. Fuck it.
There's danger on the edge of town. Ride the King's Highway.
No fear. Why should I be scared of that?
Weird scenes inside the
It's similar to the feelings when I first thought about making it public.
Ride the highway west, baby.
I can argue it.
Ride the snake.
Might help get the truth out.
Ride the snake to the lake.
Things will be cool when more people have got the truth.
The ancient lake.
People wouldn't cry so much when someone dies. Might even say, wow, you know, eventually his torment has ended.
Ride the snake. He's old and his skin is cold. The West is the best.
Yeah, we're in a war.
Best.
English speaking versus the rest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot with love! I shoot you with love.
The blue bus is
Calling us. Whatever that means.
the blue bus.
When I went to live in Norway and I lived in this place called Rjukan, all the buses were blue.
Travel where you take it up. The killer awoke before
For
dawn.
dawn. This
They
would
put
be
his boots on.
this would be a song of Bin Laden.
He took a face from the ancient gallery.
Well, that was-
Walked on down the
So
hall.
he took the face from some Egyptian and then pretended to be Obama. Barack Hussein Obama.
He went into the room where his sister lived. And
Has he got a sister?
Paid a visit to his brother, and then he walked
Turn down the hall!
away.
Well, we're all brothers and sisters, aren't we? We're all brothers and sisters.
And he looked inside.
It's the old Freudian thing coming up next.
Father, yes, son, I want to kill you.
See? You want to kill your father. Freud said it. They all thought Freud was great until he said this. You have to admit, it's true. Fuck you! There's a big thing. The old Battle of the Sexes. A big thing. That Whore of Babylon's next. Still to come.
Come on, baby, take a chance.
Dance with us.
Come on,
Baby, take a chance with us. Me at the back of the blue bus. Come on. Blue bus. Blue bus. Blue bus. Come on. drink.
This is the end. You gentle friend.
The end is the beginning.
This is the end. My only friend. The end. It hurts to set you free, but you never follow me. The end of laughter and soft light. The end of light we try to guide. This is the end.
Boy.